Life-Giving Saturday to me means giving of our hearts, our bodies, our souls to go out and help our neighbors in need. Anyway, Life-Giving Saturday is actually exactly what it says, where we are taking the church out to either our neighbors in need or people across the street from us or out across the river or wherever there's a need for people to have some help. It actually means showing and sharing our love for God. We had a vegetable garden put in here at the women's shelter, and there was a couple of a mother and a son. His son is autistic. His name was Dennis, I believe. And Phil was our guy doing the rototiller from West Shore, and I were out there digging up the soil, and Dennis came and sat on the slide that's right next to the vegetable garden, and he was in awe of what Phil was doing with the rototiller and wanted to help us as much as he could. You know what? Perfect. That's perfect. Anyway, throughout the morning, Dennis and Phil developed this relationship that calmed Dennis down and made him want to talk with us, to learn from us, to pray with us, because we did. We prayed with he and his mother before we left. But then to help us plant the vegetables so then he could take ownership of that. And I came back a few weeks later, but they weren't here anymore. So they had just truly used us as a shelter from the storm, and they had gone, but the vegetable garden looked wonderful. And I often wondered if it wasn't because of the relationship that Dennis and Phil developed. But that's just one memory of many. The basic reason that we come out here is to develop those relationships. So what we're hoping to do is to take Life-Giving Saturday and make it part of life. You know, whether we go to the shelter and we serve at the soup kitchen, or we go to the streets and we serve people on the streets, or if we come here and just refresh the gardens, the vegetables and the flowers. These people, this is a shelter for them, and it's a place that they call home for a little while. And it needs to be nice, it needs to be something they're proud of. And it's very hard for them to find that pride. But working along beside of us, especially here, it's very friendly to the family. Children of all ages can come and work with us, and it does these residents a lot of good to have their families, their children, interact with faithful children and interact. The men that we have, their families couldn't come, but it does these women a world of good to see a Christian man in progress of doing things, but doing it because the Lord asked him to be a nice and kind, and just recognizing that they're real people. I mean, sometimes just to pray with them and look them right in the eye and listen to what they have to say, that's our way of expressing the Lord's love from us to them, and it makes a huge difference. So if all we're doing is planting the seeds of faith along with the seeds of flowers and the seeds and the vegetables, that's what we're here to do. Any way that we can, and I would encourage everybody to get out of their comfort zone. We talked about that a few weeks back in church, one of the sermons, and that's what this is. Life-Giving Saturday gets you out of your comfort zone, if only for a few hours. But hopefully the seeds that we plant out there are also planted in our hearts so that we want to get out there and do exactly what the Lord has commanded us to do.